sure you all agree that it's been an extremely busy week for Nigeria, for the government, and of course for the good people of this great nation. It's Friday. The one they say is the very beginning of an amazing weekend. Ours has started here on Global Television, and we at Mofwegwe saying a very big welcome to you to Global Morning, the last for the working week. And we're excited that the week is quite coming to an end. And what more can I say than to clearly state again that we have to be grateful for the life that we've been given and all the opportunities that we have to do right by those around us, and of course continue to put in the work. And incidentally, that's pretty much what we're saying now. The president himself putting in the work, and Nigerians across a broad spectrum also putting in the work, because it has to be collaborative. We have to see some sort of concerted effort, not just against insecurity, but everything else in between. It's been a busy week even for the government too, and politicians in and outside of Abuja, and that is apparently for reasons we are not ignorant of, at least generally. Insecurity has been a challenge in our country for quite a long time. And for the first time since it all began, we are now starting to see some glimmer of hope. And Nigerians across the board say, look, the least we can do for ourselves at this time is to ensure that we not only sustain this light we are seeing at the end of the tunnel, but we must work to ensure that we intentionally drive it to a logical conclusion. May I also introduce Ramsey Enokagbo, my colleague and co-anchor, who is here to do nothing but add value to the show today. Ramsey, I'm excited to see. It's a great Friday. Yes. I don't know what the plans are, but who knows?
Well, I think all we're going to be doing this weekend is strategizing for the new week that is going to get started in. You know how short our weekends are.
Of course.
So we are strategizing, and of course, also praying that what we are hearing and the kind of action that we are hearing about is seen in reality, as it has to do with curbing the insecurity situation in the country. Like you said, I think there have been some level of instructions,
right?
All right, some level of instructions, displacement and replacement, and of course strategies, intelligence, information gathering. So much happening right now. So we're keeping our fingers crossed to see how it is going to go very soon, pretty soon. From next week, we should be hearing good news. I think for the past, unlike 2 weeks ago, where we're hearing of pocket of strikes by these terrorists at different locations, I think for this week, it has not been that rampant the way it was 2 weeks ago. You know, after the KB girls, you hear of Owo, you hear of Niger, you hear of different locations. But then I think there's a little subside. Let's assume these guys are about taking to their heels, or they've taken to their heels as it is right now.
Well, I think that's the least we can hope for. But then again, it's been a loaded week for even the legislature, especially the Federal House of, the National Assembly. Again, in particular, in this case, the Senate, given that 1st of this week, we're seeing the screening of General Christopher Musa, retired, now being sworn in already as Minister of Defense. And then we understand at least 65 ambassador designates or nominees will also be at the Senate next couple of days, because it's quite a large number, so there has to be batching, all right, to be screened, or some people say grilled, by senators before they are eventually appointed their portfolios. This is one journey that has been a long time coming, given that Nigerians have talked about the need to have ambassadors across our foreign missions the entire time, and this took forever, but it will appear President Bola Tinubu now has said, look, enough is enough. We've got to move things from point A to point B. What kind of progress does this mean for you?
Well, it's a progress. It's better late than never.
Right.
At least we're about having ambassadors, to represent the country. You know what it is. You know the position and the role of ambassadors to every country, and in every country where they have been sent to. And some persons have queried it. I could remember speaking to the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I could remember how he lamented the fact that there are people who are qualified to be diplomats, to be sent to some countries, but they couldn't make it because we're not having ambassadors. There was no appointment of ambassadors and all of that. And some are going to retire without testing that position in their career, which is not going to be very good. And a lot of them in that office were not happy about it, you know. And he spoke to us on one of our programs about the diplomatic perspective. And I think it's a welcome development. They are going to be going for screening. Nigerians are used to take a bow, you know. Let's see if every one of them is going to take a bow. But then, some people think ambassadorial position is just easy, just appoint you, go and sit there, and no. Every ambassador is supposed to be a man and woman of integrity, because you are representing the country, you are representing the nation. You need, first of all, before you build the image, a good image for a country, you yourself need to have a good image.
Right. You can't give what you don't have.
You can't give what you don't have. So one of the things that the president and the Senate should be, where the president have done his job, it's all left for the senators.
Even though there are still question marks over those choices.
Those choices. In fact, they said we have a listening president. A lot of people have already attested to that. Let's see if some of the names that Nigerians are pointing at, that they are not qualified. As a matter of fact, Nigerians are the people these ambassadors are going to represent in these various countries. And if Nigerians say, well, this person does not have the pedigree, integrity, and good image to represent us for reasons that is provable beyond reasonable doubt, I think such people should be stepped down. Let's don't say, well, it is late now, we need to do it in a hurry because 2027 is around the corner, because US is saying something, because China is saying something. If we just want to do that on that note, then we might not be able to do a proper scrutiny of these nominees. So I think what we should do, what the senators, the National Assembly should do, is do a proper job so that Nigerians can give them thumbs up. Remember what happened during the screening of ministers when El-Rufai was fingered out. A lot of Nigerians said, yes, that is true, because they have reasons why they accepted that he cannot be a minister in Nigeria, all right, because of some of the things they allegedly said he had in his hands.
Well, the Senate at that time said there was a damaging security report against him. In fairness to the gentleman, he says, up until now, at least during his last interview on national television, nobody had told him what the security report is about. But it's a no-brainer. That's why it's called security report. So yes. Maybe it's classified.
I think it's classified. And as number one governor of a country, the security officer of a state, if average Nigerians will have to tell you what security situations are in your own state, then it comes for questioning. Because what happened in Kaduna, Southern Kaduna, and everywhere was in the public domain. A lot of people, in fact, some journalists took out time to even investigate one or two, as it has to do with the persistent attacks and the lives that were taken in Kaduna State. So, well, all of that is bygone now. I think the former governor of Kaduna State is now trying to put himself together as it is right now in a different party and see how he can come up with a new page of his life. But then I think we'll keep our fingers crossed. I think the next few weeks is going to be loaded for the senators as they carry out this. It's a homologous assignment, but then the right thing should still be done. And I think that's the reason they want to do it in batches and not say, okay, all of you come, we'll take our time, we'll do overtime to finish. No. I think it's a good one. Let's keep our fingers crossed and see how it's going to go.
Fingers crossed. I mean, there are several things happening in our country right now that require us to keep our fingers crossed. But then the upbeat disposition of Nigerians, the confidence and the optimism that the good people of this country continue to express and manifest can be said to be very, very inspiring. Let's take a quick break now. It's time to bring you some inspiration, again, courtesy of Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and behind that, it will be time to look at the big stories across newspapers today for you. Do stay with us.
Your way to success. Well, success have many brothers, but failure is an orphan. You will never be a failure, and you can never be a failure. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and today we want to look at a very simple stance. What am I going to talk about today? I want to encourage us that we don't have to wait for motivation before we take action. You don't have to wait for motivation before you take action or do the right thing that you need to do. If you must be successful, because you need to act, number one, you need to act very fast based on what you want to achieve, because everyone have what they are built and designed for. We have a lot of people who are jealous of what we have, who we are, where we are, and what we have been wired to do, or what we have been destined to become. It's very clear. So sometimes that you are waiting for motivation. Motivation can come from either of these people, unknown to you that these persons are actually there to talk you down indirectly. There are some motivations, some healing. That's why I tell people all the time, don't be carried away by praises. Some people can praise you into damnation. Yes, some people can praise you into the pit. There are people that because they praise them, because they heal them, because of applause, they are nowhere to be found today. They are off the stage already. So what we have to do, the number one thing that you need to do is don't wait for motivation, act first. And motivation will follow. All right? There is a secret for successful people. And successful people may not even tell you this. They don't feel motivated every day. That's the truth. Ask the richest man in the world today. He don't feel motivated every day. Sometimes you need to motivate yourself, encourage yourself in what you are doing. They act their way into motivation. Motivation is not the starting line. It is the result of the movement. All right? That's when motivation comes. When you are successful, everyone wants to identify with you. When you are successful, you are a newsmaker already. Everyone wants to be your friend, but you need to be careful. Choose your friends carefully and don't allow your friends choose you. Because a lot of people may want to be your friend because you are a successful man. A lot of people want to claim to be your motivators. They are the ones motivating you. Guy, I need to be careful. All right? Wedding happens after you begin. Because first of all, you need to believe in what you are doing. The confidence has to be there before you can even do what you are doing correctly. If not, you fidget on stage. He said in his own case, he didn't feel very confident when he first started. He didn't fancy tools, but he showed up. And the more he acted, the more motivated he became. All right? What you need to do is build confidence yourself. And confidence built consistently have a long way to go. Don't be scared. See, sometimes God puts something in you and your environment may not look it. Your size may not even look it. Do you know when somebody is telling you, this one, what can he offer? This one from this village, I knew when this person was born. A lot of people are going to say so many things, but you need to be confident of yourself because you know what you carry on your inside, you know what you are made up of, you know what God told you you are going to become. You know what? See, build confidence consistently consistently, always be confident of yourself. Because action, by the time you begin to put in that action, it creates clarity. When you move, ideas flow. Right? Someone can attest to what I'm saying right now. But when you sit still, fear grows. I want to say that again. When you move, when you take action, ideas flow. That's why some people will tell you, before I even got on stage, well, I didn't even look at my script anymore because I was just flowing, it was because you got on the stage the first time and confidence came unknown to you. That's what it means. Okay? When you move, ideas will begin to flow. When you take that idea, you begin to break it down, an idea begin to flow. When you move, ideas do what? Flow. But when you are still, fear grows on your inside. So even if you don't feel like it, just take one small step today. Send maybe do one or two things that you feel this could actually boost whatever it is you're doing. Stop waiting for the perfect people. Because the perfect people may not be those people motivating you. Sometimes you are doing the wrong thing and some people are saying, wow, well, you did well. But you are doing the wrong thing that is about destroying your future. I wonder what happened on social media these days. You see some people misbehaving, some people doing things that will take their lives, that will lead them to condemnation, destruction. And some people are there hailing them. Be careful the kind of comments people make on your post. Some of them are not encouraging. Some of them are there to talk you down. You need to be careful. Build confidence yourself. Believe in yourself. Trust in what you are doing. Trust in yourself. Trust in God first. Yeah, trust in God first, then believe in yourself. That's it. Trust God, then believe in yourself. You will get to your destination. And that is very, very important. So, everyone that is clapping for you is not all of them that believe in your dream. But you need to be very, very careful. That's what it is. As people are clapping for you, as people are saying, go on, go on, go on, go on. Hey, you did very well. That thing you are doing, I like that, your lifestyle. Keep it up. Oh. Something that is not good, something that the society frowns at. Some people are encouraging you to be naked on social media. That is disastrous. And the same you is looking for a husband. Tell me, does it match? Does it really feel good? Or you want to, let me just leave it at that. Whatever you're doing today, be careful the kind of people that cheer you up. Be careful of motivation. Be careful of hand clap. Be careful of unnecessary healing. Examine yourself. Test yourself. Check what you are doing. But I want you to know that you need to get on the stage, get on that assignment, get on that job, get on that duty, get on that your job description, and just keep moving on it. Ideas will flow. But if you stay stagnant, I tell you the truth, fear will grow in you and build up, and before you know, a destiny has been killed and destroyed. That's not a portion. That's not a portion at all. You are a mobile success, going somewhere to happen. Don't allow anyone talk you down. Congratulations once again. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Right, time to take a look at the papers for you this morning. Incidentally, we're beginning with the Vanguard newspaper, one with, quite a number of headlines. We'll start with the one above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper. It says banks' insurance contribution to economy falls 15% to 1.51 trillion naira. That's just right above the nameplate of the Vanguard. And the Star headline says, "Will defeat terror, restore order, peace, Defense Minister, NSA." 3 riders accompanying that headline. Terrorists need to be flushed out, Kuka tells Minister. Kwara monarch still with bandits, says 5 abducted Rivers students regain freedom. Read of those details on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And then what's more, appeal court affirms judgment barring VIO from seizing vehicles, imposing fines. We understand that matter now has been escalated to the Supreme Court by the VIO authorities. But then you have details on page 7. President nominates Ibas Dambizao, 63 others as ambassadors. At Imo Economic Summit, Indigbo, most significant stakeholders in the Nigeria project. And that's President Tinubu talking. Of course, the president was represented, and ably so, by the vice president in Owerri yesterday. Uzodimma opens states to multi-sectoral investments. Those are details you can read up on page 11 of today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper. Next port of call is the Punch newspaper, and Ramsey has those headlines for us.
All right, let's quickly look at the Punch newspaper this morning, beginning from the very big story that we have right there. On the big story, it says, big diplomatic overhaul. Tinubu's 65 envoy picks brace for Senate storm. We have a rider to that story. Ex-Rivers administrator, 30 politicians, others make list. Senate to screen list in 1 week. That's a big work right there. But then, why are they there? Newly sworn in Defense Minister declares war on kidnappers. We'll be waiting for that. Nigeria must protect democracy as Sahel faces coup. That's Ribado. Petered monthly payouts to retirees soar to 1 trillion naira. Edison says immigration CG visits KB, vows justice after checkpoint attack. And of course, federal government set December 20 deadline to pay contractors. VIO heads to Supreme Court after losing vehicle impoundment appeal. The Senate orders nationwide crackdown as lead poisoning hits Lagos. Those are the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, Ramsey. Read out details from the Punch on all of those headlines as we move on to the Guardian newspaper real quick. We begin with the Star headline. It reads how stigma, poor treatment, funding, hobble HIV, AIDS roll back. Quite an interesting picture there that depicts the message and creates a very visual perspective. Big story you would find on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And then there's a headline with a picture of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, says Masop decries Igbo politicians' silence on Kanu's ordeal. Insecurity. Defense Minister vows swift gains as NSA warns enemies. Labour talks tough. You behave more like a political candidate than president, ADC tells Tinubu. Why is that? Well, they say he's talking politics, rights, in the face of intensified insecurity in the country. Well, again, you can't take away the element of politics from that conversation. Tinubu nominates Abbas Sulu Gambari, Bents, Enang, 61 others as ambassadors. Reps defer constitution review debate for wider consultation. Nasarawa to prosecute parents of out-of-school children. So what's the framework for that? Is it just a pronouncement or a policy direction? Because Ramsey, the issue of out-of-school children is a bit more complicated than we realize, right?
Yes.
Incidentally, the bulk of them are in the northern part of the country. So the question is, what are the governors doing about this? The court just ruled again recently that the states has, of course, you can say government generically, a responsibility to guarantee and, of course, ensure that access is provided to basic education. In this context, basic education means primary education, primary school, elementary school, plus junior secondary school. Primaries 1 to 5 or 6 as the case may be, then JSS 1 to 3. That's basic education. But the question is, beyond just making pronouncements, beyond just talking and all of the photo ops and plenty talk shops that we see, what exactly are the significant concrete measures that governors across states, especially states where you have these heavy numbers, so to say, are doing, and what are the timelines they are setting? For example, if in my state as a governor, the numbers are showing that you have, let's say, 1.7 million out-of-school children, and I know I'm doing my second term, and I have less than 2 years to go, what realistically can I do within the 1+ years I have in office to cut down that number as significantly as possible? That should be my concern. But then the unfortunate thing, and that much is evident, is that politicians will always think as politicians. Otherwise, what you do is you crunch the numbers. Look at what the realities are. What is the volume of resources available, especially as it has to do with education? Why must we as a subnational prioritize education? What is the human capacity we have in terms of experts and the hands to drive whatever policy we are putting in place? And who is even formulating the policy in the first instance? How do we implement? How do we measure our progress? By the time we leave office, ultimately, there will be two questions. What was the state of education when we came in as a government in this state? And where are we living is now that we are at the exit door as a government, in such a way that we make life, quote unquote, easier for the government coming next. But again, sadly, they say politicians are only so concerned about the next election and not the next generation.
That's it, the next election. You've said it all. Their concern is the next generation, the next election, and not the next generation. A lot of them are there because of themselves. What we have is governance of interest, personal interest today, not general interest or national interest as the case may be. So if there's anything that any well-thinking Nigerian or individual should even think of, is how to get rid of, let's say, societal menace, atrocities, crime from the society, how to just make your state crime-free. How do you do that? The first thing you do is get these children to school, at least basic. I love the way you define the basic. Primary, at least to the junior secondary.
Right.
Basic. At that point, anybody that has attained that level, there's a level of communication that person will be able to understand.
Right.
There are some things that you are trying to inculcate into a child that the person will not understand because the person has not acquired basic knowledge. It just look like, what's this person saying? But because the person have at least basic knowledge, basic at least education, the person will be able to buy into whatever it is you're saying. If you want to watch critically, let's take for instance the security situation that we have in this country now. Majority of the people that are being used by the co-sponsors are people that are not educated.
Right.
They just get them conscientized and they hit whatever streets they ask them to hit, do whatever they ask them to do. And we have this big problem in the country today. So I think what we should be prioritizing, don't say, well, this thing was there before I came into office. It shouldn't be there before
I inherited it.
I inherited it. That's their language. If you inherited it, please tackle it before you leave. It's not compulsory that you met it and you have to leave it. No, that's not what it is. I think our politicians should come to a level where they should think of what they would be remembered for basically when they leave office.
I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, we should think legacy and whatever it is we're leaving behind. All right, we're leaving behind the Guardian newspaper this morning. So we can move on to the next one, and that happens to be the Daily Independent newspaper, and Ramsey would walk us through those headlines.
All right, let's quickly take you through the Daily Independent and see what we have right there. On the Daily Independent, telcos face scrutiny over poor QoS despite tariff hike. Okay, and debt paid. Debt has been paid. But then what about the quality? What are Nigerians getting? Nigerians now, I don't know. I think Nigerians can adjust to situations easily. Now, the price hike, telco, sometimes I wonder, you make a call of seconds, and they are charging you some naira. It's not even up to a minute yet.
Right.
I made a call which day, I think it's like, was it 8 seconds or so, and I was already being charged like 4 naira. So I was it 4 or 6 naira? And I was calculating, okay, if it is up to a minute now, this is just seconds. What would it be? Right. But then sometimes you call and somebody else is speaking somewhere else and is telling you wrong number.
And speaking a different language.
And speaking a different language.
Right.
You know, we've had situations. So at least, let's say the body in charge should do the needful to ensure that Nigerians get quality for their hard-earned money. All right, especially now that there is nothing like debt anymore. All right, this one says insecurity. We are going through painful times, but it will pass. It will pass. Federal government is assuring Nigerians. And this one say Nigeria focus on strengthening democratic institution. That's coming from the president himself. Will do whatever it takes to secure Nigeria. General Musa. Well, I saw a part of his screening while he was speaking, and I was impressed. I just had to download that part immediately and send to my wife. You know why? He was asking some very intelligent questions. You know, he was saying things like, one of the things they need to fight is indolence and, of course, cowardice among our military officers, which is unusual.
Right.
You know, and he was talking about the leakage of intelligence information, and he was questioning why the general that was killed should even be alone in the first place. What happened to his troop? How did they run away and leave him? Is that possible in the military? Is that what we do? You know, he was asking a lot of questions. Why should the troop withdraw and immediately these terrorists are coming to strike. He said these are part of the things that he would investigate. You know, and of course, I when I heard that, I said, well, this is somebody intelligent speaking. And he talked about the fact that sponsors, people who are sponsoring these terrorists would also be torchlights, you know, and they will be fingered out, which is very good for me. So I'm not surprised for him to say he will do whatever it takes to secure Nigeria. The first minister, of course, so you owe it to Nigeria to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria, and of course, more so, the lives and properties of Nigerians, especially the lives. All right, Tinubu increases ambassador nominee to 65. All right, 6 Senate confirmation. Okay, those are the headlines from, okay, above the nameplate. Reps suspend consideration of constitutional amendment bills. Appeal court affirms VIOs can't impound vehicles, impose fines. All right. If they don't do that, then it's as good as being irrelevant.
Being redundant.
Being redundant. What would they be doing? That's majorly what they do.
They do, yes. You know, Ramsey, this conversation is interesting. The good thing is, at least they've exhausted the appellate option in this litigation, right? So they say they are moving up to the Supreme Court. Thing is,
but these people have leg and guts.
The question is, what informed the idea of the VIO in the first instance? We've got to interrogate that. We don't have to be straight-jacketed about these things. When my mother would say that necessity is the mother of all invention. So if there's a need, you quickly put your brain to work and say, how do we solve this problem? Once that problem is solved, in 5, 10, 20 years down the line, you are going to need a different kind of thinking to solve that sort of problem if it reoccurs. Because times have changed, dynamics are not the same. You're dealing with an entirely different issue altogether. So if we needed the VIO 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I mean, I don't know when the VIO came on stream because I grew up to know there's VIO. I saw them in white and black the whole time, and they've been here.
And those days, they used to stand on the street on highway.
Right, highways, yes.
But now they are in the city.
But now they have their own tactics that they use. So they can look for a bend. Yes. So you don't see them up front, right? So you would have been negotiating the bend, and the next thing you know is you're bumping on them. At that point in time, you're stuck, no other option, all right? But the question is, was that the mandate? Was that the original thinking behind, I mean, quote and unquote, the invention of the VIO? We need to ask ourselves that. How relevant was the VIO 3 decades ago? Is the VIO still that relevant or relevant at all today? So let's not be one-way traffic about the way we run these entities. So it doesn't look like, well, we've been here 40 years, so what's the big deal? We have to continue to be here. But what if the need we had of you a few decades ago is no longer there, has been resolved? Or there's now a different body altogether playing that role more effectively in light of today's reality. Do we still need you? Sometimes the fear is, what now happens to the men and women who work here? People's livelihoods are tied to it, blah, 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 blah. We bring more of emotions and sentiments instead of logic and strategy. It's a problem where we put emotions, sentiments, and biases 5 steps ahead of common sense. It drags Africa as a continent behind. It makes us a bunch of retrogressive people. We must think different. Do we still need VIO today? This is not a matter of the court case. I mean, quite frankly, no sentiments. I mean, dispassionate. First of all, is there still need for VIO?
Well, we need to know what their functions are, because
that's why I talked about their mandates.
Duplicated duties, function duplicated. You see the police doing the work of road safety. You see road safety doing the work of police. You see VIO doing the work of both road safety, police, and so sometimes I don't really know what the function of some of these people is. Like as it is right now, vehicle inspection officers, right? So sometimes sometimes you see in advanced countries there are some vehicles that are not roadworthy anymore. All right, by the time you see them on the road, it's impounded.
Right.
Hey, come on, this vehicle is not supposed to be on the road. Don't you know that? Look at carbon monoxide everywhere. polluting the environment because, you know, the exhaust and all of that, because this vehicle is not supposed to be on the road anymore.
Yeah.
But nobody checks that now.
You know, the thing is, like I mentioned earlier, Ramsey, we must think differently. You just made a point. All these cross-functioning that is chaotic.
Chaotic.
Ramsey is doing Uyi's work. Uyi is doing Ramsey's work. The other person is doing Uyi and Ramsey's work combined. There's no clear cuts, if you like, explanation as to why we are doing this sort of very disturbing interplay. There's a difference, very established difference between interagency collaboration and this sort of chaotic overlap that we have. I'll give you an example. I've heard motorists, right from when I was a young boy growing up, say that, look, the police cannot be asking you about your driver's license, asking you about your rear lights, about your headlamps, about your seat belt, about your fire extinguisher, and then the federal road safety officers are asking you the same exact things. The VIO guys are asking you the same exact things. The reason is simple. We can lie to ourselves all we want, but the truth will always drown all of the, if you like, sentiments that we push. The fact of the matter is, most of these entities have now become hustling fronts. So it's more of revenue generation than it should have been doing what ought to serve the overall good. So at the end of the day, the point is, you now bring up VIO. They have targets, they have to report to somebody, they must raise a certain amount of money. So they become violent, they become aggressive, they're almost fighting you behind the steering wheel and all of that. And when you do that, there's no way the motoring public will love you. Well, I think those are the headlines that we have this morning. Our next point of call, let me see where we're heading with this. But let's take a quick break, everyone. When we return, quite a number of papers we need to look at for you before we move on to our first conversation this morning. Do stay with us.
Very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program,
As always, it's a pleasure to have you join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Teacher Voice Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course,
welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Full of joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on
women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
a numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
First of all, it's a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
Rural News in United Nigeria.
Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Turn Up Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
right, we'll look at the Nigerian Tribune next with the big story here saying Ribadu Musa Kuka upbeats about end to terrorism. And then the three writers say terrorism, banditry to end soon. That's according to NSA Nuhu Ribadu. Nigerians can now sleep with eyes closed. Musa defense portfolio now in very good hands. Kuka. A patient alleges organ harvesting in hospital. Ekiti government begins probe. Ex-NMA president Fardile heads committee. Suspected gunmen kidnap APC chieftain Oriade in Ibadan. APC leadership, other stakeholders express concern. Tinubu names Ibaz Dambazao, Sulugambari, Enang as ambassadors. Increases nominees to 68, 6 Senate confirmation. All right. Then, of course, we'll move it up above the name masts, top right, with a picture of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. It says Atiku faults Tinubu's nomination of former INEC chair for ambassadorial position. Exodus of oil workers looms. Pengerson warns. What is driving that sort of exodus? Details on page 6. Appeal court bars VIOs from impounding vehicles, imposing fines. That was the headline you'll find across National Daily today. But then read up all of those details this morning from the Nigerian Tribune as we move up to the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, let's quickly look at the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trust, beginning from the very big story that we have right there, which says ADC, Obi flay Tinubu over early campaign. Early campaign, I think that should be the prerogative of INEC, right?
Well, if they do not say that, it will appear opposition is not being effective, right?
When you say early campaign, I don't know.
What is the benchmark?
What's the benchmark? When is campaign supposed to start? What is tagged? What is considered a campaign? You know, all of this.
And who determines that?
Who determines that? You're speaking like a judge this morning.
No, we have to be clear on these things because somebody can also say that the Labour Party has been campaigning too because they've been talking about issues concerning 2027.
Yes.
The ADC has been doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've seen quite a number of parties doing that, all right? Even Omoyele Showare's AAC has been doing that as well. I mean, Showare has said categorically that in 2027, he will ensure that Nigerians vote out President Bola Tinubu. So can we also not say that itself is campaigning already?
All right, let's see what determines and what makes a statement or a move a campaign. All right, maybe this is more like drawing the attention of INEC, probably. A president asked Senate to confirm Ibas, Dambazao, 62 others as ambassadors. Again, court restrained VIO from impounding vehicles, imposing fines. Nigeria imports 12.8 trillion naira worth of petrol in 15 months. Okay, how has that affected our economy, positively or negatively? Affected the life of Nigerians positively or negatively? I think these are questions we should be asking. Challenges before new defense minister. Challenges before new defense minister. And those are the few headlines that we have on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, sir, that was great. So let's take a look at our last paper now, and that will be the Vanguard newspaper, or I should say the New Telegraph. Right, let's see the New Telegraph for you. Our last paper, incidentally, above it, the nameplate says Moody's sees Nigeria's fiscal deficit widening to 2.7%, says country's economy remains strong. AFDB approves $200 million for Nigeria special agro-industrial zones. That's coming from the New Telegraph newspaper for you. All right, what's more, here it says, Trusts Ekong retires from international football weeks before AFCON. Imo offers investment opportunities you can't ignore. That's credited to President Bola Tinubu. Constitution amendments debate stalled as reps protests on availability of documents. Who is supposed to make the document available? People must be held accountable where they've been assigned very critical tasks such as this one. Senate moves to regulate online financial deals in Nigeria, and that in itself is long overdue. Secure Nigeria, Tinubu tells Musa as swearing in as defense minister. That headline comes with 3 riders. Appeal courts oppose judgment stopping VIOs from impounding vehicles, imposing fines. Sultan Kuka issue rallying cry on security threats. And finally, smelling your own fat can help fight Alzheimer's. Studies. Alzheimer was also one headline yesterday from the New Telegraph, but this is a bit from a different angle. Yesterday was talking about obesity, that when people become obese, it increases their chances of fighting or having to deal with Alzheimer's as they age. But today it says that smelling your own farts can help fight it. So that sounds like a very weird phenomenon that is good for the health. But those are your headlines from the New Telegraph this morning. A quick reminder that you should read up details for yourself as you pick up these papers today. And remember that all of the headlines we bring to you here, they are exactly as published by the respective publishers. Global Television does not in any way contribute to them. By the way, today would have been it's still the posthumous birthday of Nelson Madiba Mandela, who died on this day in 2013 at the age of 95. He would have been 107 today if he had been alive. I mean, we have to mention that, we have to establish that, given that this was a man who came, saw, and indeed conquered.
Yes. I think that's one personality that cannot be forgotten easily about South Africans and Africans, even the world, because persistence and, of course, everything he went through for freedom. He's a freedom fighter. And, of course, I want to say happy posthumous birthday to Nelson Mandela. Always smiling.
Always smiling, right. Incidentally, we can't take away from the fact that there's so much for Africans, especially those who have the privilege of service or who are within the bracket of leadership, to learn from this man, giving the sort of example that he set as to how leadership should be provided. I mean, he was president between 1999 and 1995, 5 years, single term, and voluntarily said, look, I'm not running for a second term. He left South Africa on many fronts way better than he met it. But today, conversely, we are seeing South Africa, we're seeing an African continent where it is one coup after the other, where presidents are practically being begged by their people and even those from outside of their countries to please step aside for someone else to also bring in fresh ideas and things like that. That's worrisome, isn't it?
It's a worrisome situation, and it's epidemic in Africa, and it's a problem. And if not being tackled and handled, the coup may continue. Because you're serving the people, for crying out loud. And the people said, it's enough. We've gotten a taste of you. You've done well. Please take a bow. It's as easy as that. You can't be there forever.
Right.
So any well-thinking Nigerian or African should imbibe what Nelson Mandela did during his time in office.
And for those who say that Nelson Mandela left a shoe too big for African leaders to wear, I think we have 2 options. Either to, if you like, shrink the size of the shoes, or just find a way to grow our legs into the size of the shoe. Those are the 2 options we have. Otherwise, we'll continue to run around this mountain. And there are quite a number of countries that don't paint a good picture on this continent. Beginning with our neighbor, Cameroon, for example. And you have the most recent of time, an embarrassing situation, Guinea-Bissau. Just for context, you might need to watch a couple of interviews granted by former President Jonathan, and you'll understand what happened in Guinea-Bissau a few days ago. It's going to take a number of years for that country to recover from that dastardly and self-serving act. But then is a highlight of what Africa has become in the last couple of decades. But we must all put our hands on deck to ensure that we move this continent at least one notch higher. Shortly, Ogochukwu Mobuna will be here to bring you Social Buzz.
A very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program.
As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Social Buzz Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues.
A joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as...
Numerous committee. About more than 12 committees.
Festify is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to...
Rural news in United
Welcome
Nigeria.
to Entertainment Circle.
Unwanted artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning, the Global Morning crew, and good morning to you, viewers. It's a beautiful day, and it's Friday morning, so you could say, thank God it's Friday. I am Ogochkumobino, and it's a good day to look at what's trending on social media. Out of so much that is trending, we're just picking one, for the sake of our time. So today we're looking at the press release and status update of Mr. Joseph Aloba's DNA application in suit number MKD 31 Farm 2024 between Mr. Joseph Aloba and Mrs. Omowumi Cynthia Aloba. So, the late Mohbad's wife, and have been dragged for a very long time about DNA, to be carried on the son, because Mr. Joseph, who is Mohbad's father, Iroluwa, father, has often said that this son, he doesn't think the grandson is a son, and according to him, he said he never wanted Mohbad to be with the wife Omowumi, and also sometime last week alleged that the son, which is Iroluwa, never actually married the wife until we had video evidences of their marriage. Well, this time around, we've often said that it is Omowumi who has not, agreed to do the DNA, but now she has said, okay, enough of all of this. I'm going to release this report on the DNA case so that everyone knows where they stand. So, according to the report, it said this is to brief the public on the latest development regarding the DNA proceedings initiated by Mr. Joseph Aloba himself and the continued attempt to delay and manipulate the process he voluntarily brought before the court. At the hearing of December 2nd, 2025, Mr. Aloba appearing this time, yet another new counsel, Oladayo Ogunwe, ESQ, introduced a fresh application seeking to compel the court to use two specific foreign hospitals personally selected by his team for the DNA analysis. His counsel argued rather conveniently that these were the only hospitals capable of producing an accurate and reliable result. Counsel to Mrs. Omowumi Aloba, S.A. Salawuddin, reminded the Honorable Court of the actual history of this matter. It was Mr. Aloba who initiated the DNA application. It was Mr. Aloba who agreed to initial consent judgment, which came about as a result of the application that he brought to court. It was Mr. Aloba who applied for a second time that the DNA should be taken abroad, a request the court granted. And now, after securing permission to take the test abroad, it is again Mr. Aloba who is attempting to dictate the exact hospital to be used, choosing facilities known only to him, thereby attempting to influence and control a process that should remain neutral by asking the court to vary its order. The court saw through this pattern of shifting positions, repeated delays, and constant change of legal strategy. The Honorable Magistrate, after listening to the arguments and objections raised by S.A. Salawuddin, counsel for respondent Mrs. Omowumi, found merit in saying, holding firmly that the neutrality of the DNA process must be preserved and the selection of the testing hospital rests solely with the courts, not with the parties. That might jeopardize the process. Once it becomes clear that his request to handpick hospitals would not be entertained, counsel to Mr. Aloba then withdrew the applicant's application in open court, which was eventually struck out. The court also reaffirmed that payment of the DNA testing remains the responsibility of the applicant since this is his application. This is yet again the third ruling the court is giving at the instance of Mr. Joseph Aloba's DNA application. The court will designate the approved hospitals without interference from either party. All parties must make themselves available for the process when contacted. All parties submitted their contact information as directed and will be reached by the assigned welfare officer to arrange sample collections and related logistics. Going ahead, it says the case has been adjourned to February the 3rd, 2026 for administrative updates. Mrs. Omowumi and her legal team remain committed to full cooperation and transparency. Unfortunately, the same consistency has not been observed on the other side. given the constant re-strategizing council changes and attempt to shift the goalpost each time the court declines to bend to their demand. Nevertheless, we will continue to rely on the law, the court's wisdom, and the facts rather than theatrics to bring this matter to a proper conclusion. All right, that's the court order from the magistrate court in Lagos. You know, Omomi was just tired of this whole back and forth on social media because it was easy for Mr. Joseph Aloba to come out to always make statements on social media. We're going to be taking some comments as regards this topic, and let's see what people on social media thinks about it. So the first comment is coming from Chareluya, and Chareluya says, and some people will say she's running away from the DNA. Why are people like this? Why is the man deliberately making efforts to frustrate everyone? Is he the only one that will tell the court what to do? The process must be very neutral so make he either take him or leave him. He can't play a smart one on the court. All right, that's from Chareluya. And the second comment coming from Manuamu. And Emmanuel says, this man should let the court pick the hospitals to be used. Why does he keep stretching the whole matter? It's been 2 whole years of his son lying unburied. Okay. All right. The last comment, but not the least, is coming from Stainless. And Stainless says, the man doesn't want the child to be his son's own. That's his wishes and prayers. He wants his son's properties. He doesn't, he doesn't care about his son at all. Okay, those are the comments we have here. So this issue has been lingering for, over 2 years now, because I remember Mohbad died 2 years ago around September the 12th. And the first thing that shocked everyone was that he was buried overnight. His head was tilted, was, broken to make sure it fits the coffin as at that time. And everyone was, kind of shocked. Why is he buried overnight? What happened? What led to all of this? But I don't think there have been proper investigation, but rather everyone just wants DNA. Well, I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Uyi Akpomofwegbe. Good morning, Uyi.
Good morning, Agochiku. As always, it's good to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Uyi. All right, so we are talking about, once again, Mr. Joseph Aloba, Wunmi, and Mohbad. We're still talking about this thing. It's been 2 years now and counting, and we are still going back and forth. But then Wunmi has released, the court order saying she's not the one holding this process. Right now, there's someone holding the process, and which is her father-in-law. Uyi, what do you think? It's a long story.
All right, let's make this real quick. I think there are quite a number of legs to this conversation. One of them being that there's the legal aspect. This is following the death of Mohbad, all right? The legal aspect being that this man has voluntarily gone to court to say, look, there are questions around the paternity of my supposed grandchild. And I want to establish whether or not this child was fathered by my late son, Mohbad. At least that's his, that was his stage name. And then he goes to court. And then the court says, well, DNA will be carried out, but we have to be neutral as to the facility, the medical facility that will do that. It's going to be neither yours nor the one of your supposed daughter-in-law. But he says, no, it's got to be the one designated by me. It doesn't work like that. So for me, it raises the question of whether or not he has a lawyer in this case, in this matter, and then who his lawyer is, what kind of advice he's getting from that lawyer. It's very important because you can't bring this bag of emotions and sentiments to a legal matter. That much is clear. The second is, what sort of disservice does this do to his late son? I mean, a man whose body had to be exhumed just so further due diligence can be done by medical experts. I mean, such a coffin was buried in that they had to fracture his neck just to fit his body in and things like that. A lot of mutilation and all of that. I mean, the story around the death of the young man has not been good. Several questions remain unanswered. So one would have thought by now, what he wants to do is, even if at worst, his concern, his preoccupation is, I want to know whether or not it was Mohbad that fathered this child. It can be done in a way that is honoring for the memory of the late man, as against all of these hula baloo back and forth we're seeing across social media, especially in an age where everybody wants to jump in on issues that are none of their business. All right, but then who do you blame? The man has brought his personal issues, his private life to the market square. So what's supposed to happen? Of course, everybody who has come to do markets, as it were, will jump in on it. But we do hope that he gets a lawyer to advise him, all right, and that he knows when to stop, because that's the problem. He doesn't know when to stop now. He cannot continue to pedal. At some point, he has to step on his brakes and say, look, let's find closure and move on to other issues. The young man is gone. It is sad. But what more can you do? Life must go on, especially for the young child who understand he fathered before his death.
Thank you so much, Uye, for your contribution. To add to that, most times whenever I see this DNA thing coming up, I don't feel good about it. Not because, I suspect one person playing a foul play, doing anything foul, but I still think that the major concern right now should be, how did Mohbad die? Not, let's see a DNA if the son is his son. Even though that son is not his son, what exactly would you do? Okay, you tell them, okay, you can't collect the property, you don't have access. But right now, she has even been denied access to her husband's properties. She has been moved out of the house, so she has her own space she's staying. But so I just feel like they're kind of digressing, and this is where I suspect a very strong foul play. But anyways, thank you so much, Uyi, once again for your contribution to today's topic. It's very important that we talk about it. All right, just in case you're just joining us, please do not forget to use the social media handles you're seeing on your screen. It's at Global TV NG on YouTube. Just subscribe and make sure you are following and be part of every conversation we bring your way here on Global Morning and every other programs, including up-to-date news. I am Ogot Kumobna. This is where I leave you as Global Morning continues.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Of course, one sector that has brought Nigeria to limelight before now is the agricultural sector. But today, if you put it side by side by other sectors, a lot of questions will come to mind. How are crops, how are they doing, how are they faring? What are we saying about food safety, food security? In Nigeria today, one of the things that a lot of Nigerians clamor for is how they can have enough food to eat and even export. Walking down the line, you can remember that back in the days, one of the things that Nigeria has been known for is crop importation, agricultural products importation, exporting, I beg your pardon, exportation. Now, we want to look at something very significant, the agricultural sector. What are the challenges and the opportunities that we have? Crops, if you want to say anything about crops, you cannot take the life of the crop away from it. And who are the people in the forefront of all of this? We have stakeholders all over Nigeria who are putting one or two together to ensure that we have something smooth and we have the sector running smoothly. Now, I have my guest today who is going to be joining me on the program. He's the president of CropLife Nigeria. As a matter of fact, CropLife International is a set of people that have done so much in the agricultural sector, and it's so good to have the president of CropLife in the studio today, in the person of David Achimobu. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, CropLife have done so much in the past, and of course so many things are happening around the agricultural sector. Now, do we really have challenges in the agricultural sector? Because that's where we should get started from. A problem none, they said, is half solved. Let's get started from there.
Well, when you say we have challenges in the agricultural sector, for every human endeavor, there are challenges. For everything that adds value, there is effort, there is work to be done so as to arrive at that. So there are challenges, of course, that's what I'm trying to establish. There are challenges, but that's why also the challenges create opportunities. So we are in the sector, we play in the sector, and we can tell you that definitely there are challenges, but of course overcoming those challenges creates the value you add, and of course that's where you then also be able to make your livelihood if you are playing in the sector. And if you overcome those challenges, then it means that we are getting towards the goal of the sector, which is making food available, not only in quantity that is required, but also in quality. Because if you have food, you have to look at the nutritious food has to be available to people. If the food is not available in such a way that people can access balanced diet, then you are really not going to get the result you are looking for. People may be eating quantum and feeding without really feeding rightly, and therefore they still have the effects of not feeding, so the quantity and the quality of food, they matter to us a lot in the agricultural sector. And it is on this basis that human life is actually dependent.
All right. I think this is so much education right here. Yeah. Now, because you are making me have more question and, of course, better understanding. Now, what are the challenges and how is CropLife trying to solve or tackle these challenges?
Thank you very much. You are getting deep now. What are the challenges? They are numerous. Mm-hmm. However, we pick out, for the purpose of this discussion, some very silent challenges that we can that are visible that we can easily explain. For example, you know, every production. Okay, let's look at the value chain of agriculture. You know, it's not just going to the farm as you see it. You know, there are value chains. There is the production itself, okay, and within production also, we have value chains within agricultural production. But if you put the segment, there is the production, there is the storage, there is the marketing, there is the sales, and so on. Then you talk about, you mentioned in your intro about the export business. That's the other end of it. Everything you do, first we must be comfortable as a nation. We must have enough to feed ourselves. But other than that, we should also produce so that we can export and make money for us individually and as a country. And also in doing that, you provide employment. Because when you are now going beyond just what to eat, you have to eat. And the one you produce so that others will eat will bring employment, will bring foreign exchange, will increase labor, you know, so that you have surplus labor in agriculture and then it can overflow into industry. So that is exactly where, but when you look at those challenges, resources, even land itself. For example, we say Nigeria, we have plenty land. Yes, we do have. But arable land for food production is not as limitless as we think. You can find that in some parts of the country, you find farmers have to rent land, even if it's the Fadama land, because if, for example, you are in Sokoto, for example, okay, and you want to do some farming, especially in the dry season, because we are low on irrigation facilities, people now gravitate towards the Fadama, where you now have to get plots and people do hire even or rent plots. So land is also a resource that we need to manage. And there is now, let me tell you that there is encroachment of urbanization on land available for agriculture. So we have to balance it. Yes, we need to develop, we need to build houses, we need to come together. Very good. But we also need to feed. So we must balance between land available for agriculture and land that is being used for urbanization, for houses and things like that. So that brings a challenge and has to be managed. So when you are talking of agriculture, people don't look at that aspect. It's a very big aspect. You have to manage the land. Then, of course, you talk about resources. Farmers need credit. Farmers need some money to be able to. Agriculture is an expensive venture. Why we have not known as a country that agriculture is an expensive venture is because farmers are subsidizing agricultural production. You know, if you look at the time past, you see a farmer marrying 2-3 wives. It's not just for pleasure. It's not just to have them in the house. He needs labor, free labor that will help him on agricultural production. He needs to have the 2 wives to go help him weed the rice or something, you know. So they are there, and if you cost the labor of these wives and the children and you add it to the cost of the rice bag that is taken to the market, then of course you and I will not buy rice at the rate we're buying.
So that is subsidy.
So agricultural subsidy is done in Nigeria by farmers. So farmers are really subsidizing, and that is why people in town are not revolting now, because they are enjoying the benefits of subsidy by farmers. People don't know this, but look at it. The man going to sell his bag of rice does not think that his wife had contributed to growing the rice. He's not paying his wife anything for doing that. And so that is subsidy. The day the farmer now becomes like us, you know, taking some facility and costing every bit of his production, then there will be issues. because it then will mean that unless we do something about agriculture in the future as it's coming, and the future is here, you know, we may not be able to get the food we want. Then there are other issues. Let me cap it up. You know, there are two major issues now in the agricultural sector when you are talking about food production. I'm going to actually narrow this discussion to crop and,
yes,
you know, because that's the area I operate. Okay, so you now find out that one other major thing is government policy. Okay, the thing that affects agriculture most especially is the somersault in policies of government. You wake up today and you are told that it's okay, you can access some of the resources, maybe access some herbicides, access some fertilizer at certain amount of money, no problem, this is what you have. And then you have planned your farming. Then suddenly it comes that they say, no, because a new VAT or something is introduced in that fertilizer, you can't get it at this price again, so you have to get it. So it's a big issue in policy somersault. And there are many things we can talk about, you know. For those who are in commercial farming, the interest rate goes up just without notification. Agricultural production takes a whole year to produce the crop or to go to the farm and all that. Now you have planned, you've taken a facility, or you are planning to take a facility or something. You say, okay, I'll do like this. And then in the middle of it, there is an increase in the interest of we need to protect certain sectors of economy. Something like agriculture needs some, no country leaves agriculture to float, even in America, especially in America. You know, they don't leave agriculture to float, because if you leave agriculture to float, agriculture is not like oil and gas that you pick up from ground, whatever the dollar is, you sell at that rate. No. The guy, it takes him quite some time to be able to produce that. Mm-hmm. And any small increase in the price of the food, it's a big problem because the population, the people consuming cannot take, they don't have the shocks to take those price increases. So the final one, final problem peculiar to Nigeria, insecurity. In the last few years, we really have problem in agricultural production. Some areas of the country, people cannot go to farm as they want to go. Some areas of the country, they have production, the harvest is ready on the field, and some other people come and take off the harvest. So until we solve or reduce insecurity to various minimum, it's affecting seriously production and price of food, and no country can survive without securing food for his people. Thank you.
Oh, all right. You said something very vital while you were speaking, and that, let me take you back a little bit when you were talking about quantity and quality.
Yeah.
Now, when you say quantity and quality in this part of the world, what are you referring to? And that takes me to the issue of counterfeit. Because anyone that is not quality enough, it could be as a result of counterfeit. Now, but then, because now we have genetically modified crops and all of that. Now, what do you have to say about quantity and quality? Because in this part of the world right now, because of the economic situation, some people are living completely on quality, not minding the quality. So by then, let's get to see the role of crop life also in all of this.
Yes, thank you. It's getting more interesting to be here in the studio. When you talk about quality and quantity, take out counterfeit first.
Okay.
food that is produced, the agricultural produce from the farm. Okay? The crops are of various nutritional values. Okay? So if, for example, you are talking of, there is mass production of corn, for example, mass production of cassava, for example, mass production of whatever is having high level of carbohydrate, for example. So that is, you have them plenty. But to get it balanced, you need to also produce legumes, to produce some food that have protein. You cannot but bring in things like beans. If you are only producing a lot of cassava, a lot of corn, and people are consuming, you need to balance it. You need to bring it together. You need to also look at protein from animal sources. You need to make sure that some chicken, some protein is available, milk is available. So what we are talking of quantity and quality, the country may be producing, maybe very self-sustained in certain food, okay? But you need to also make sure that food production is such that it's not only producing, but that they are available to the least and the highest in the society. You understand what I mean? So if, for example, you say, oh, corn is very cheap now, okay, price has come down, so people have food to eat. Yes, they have food to eat, no doubt. But what of the quality of food? The guy is eating plenty corn in the morning, yam in the afternoon, and then he goes to sleep another day, and then his stomach begins to, because he's storing a lot of carbohydrates in the body. He needs to balance this food. He needs to take some meat. How available is the protein source? So that he can balance his diet. So the nutrition is very important. Food is available, but if it's not available in a balanced form, it's also a problem. Okay? So when we look at food security, like you were saying before, our focus is on, is the food available? You know, food can be there and not available. I hope you know. Food can be, okay, you say, oh, it's cheap now, but cheap is relative. Is the man that is in the lowest ebb of the economy able to access that food? That's the question you are asking, and that's your assessment of whether you have, you are talking of food availability, food security. It's not just the number, but how is it available? And what are the proportions? Is it just one type of food? One type of food does not make it balanced. It has to have. So we talk about the quantity of food and the quality of food. Yes, you can bring in the process of production. That is a different ballgame. You say whether it's available, whether it's in that quantity and quality from the farm, and then maybe in the process of agricultural production or process of management of the harvest from the field, you have other issues that make the food available in quantity, available in quality from the farm, but not to the consumer. That's where you are.
So there is being cut short at the process of production. The various processes reduces the quality.
Yes, there are so many value chains. When the food comes from the farm gate, it can be very okay. But in the process of going through transportation, through storage, then a lot of contaminants could come in. So that's a different ball game altogether. First of all, in agricultural production, we're talking about, are they available in good quantity and in good quality? Good quality means, do we have the various kinds of food that will make a balanced diet for a man? You know, it's like talking of, everything has to be balanced. And it's also same for human beings. Okay? You don't take just one type of diet and you say, oh, yes, I'm eating well because you are eating corn morning.
But that's what's happening in Nigeria. Nigerians only dive on what is available.
Yeah, that is the problem.
So now, let's look at Crop Life now. Okay. What are they doing, all right, in their own way, you know, to get this information to the people, maybe through stakeholders, through workshops, especially when it has to do with something like counterfeit, maybe opportunities available for export and all of that, because a lot of people, all attention is on oil as it is.
Thank you. First of all, to answer that question, we would like to bring to light, who are we? Crop Life means what? Okay? Crop Life is an association, okay? An international association, let me put it that way. There is Crop Life International. And we in Nigeria, we are Crop Life Nigeria. So as a national branch, to put it that way, of Crop Life International, we also have supervising regional Crop Life called Crop Life Africa and Middle East CLAIM, which has headquarters in Abidjan. So that's the organization. What is it all about? It is all about ensuring, being involved in ensuring sustainable agriculture. You know, and that's what I was trying to bring out to you. Sustainable agriculture. You know, making sure that production takes advantage of whatever technology is available. Making sure that the association is also a pressure group to help government, not only in Nigeria, all over the world. Because Crop Life International sits on the board of FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization. And they are also consultants to WHO when it comes to food safety and food security all over the world. So we take a bearing from there. At the national level also, those issues which Crop Life International is taking, is concerned about at the international level. At the national level, we also adapt it and also take care of such issues here. And so when you talk about Crop Life in Nigeria, for example, you are talking about an association that is involved in representing the plant science industry, representing the biotechnologies, representing agrochemicals. You know, when you talk about agrochemicals, you are looking at all the things that are used in crop protection.
Pesticides.
Yes, pesticides are part of it. Pesticides, when you say pesticide also, it's a big umbrella. Okay, under pesticides, you have things like insecticides, you have things like herbicides, you have things like fungicides. And then when you talk about crop protection products entirely, you are looking at things like plant stimulants, you know, and many equipment that are used for disseminating or spraying and all of that type of thing on the farm. So all of these constitute what the areas, and so Crop Life in the agrochemical industry, for example, also you have the agrochemical manufacturers. You know, I've talked about the biotechnologies. I've also talked about so in the agrochemical industry, you have agrochemical manufacturing, you have importation, you have sales, you have distribution, you have marketing. All of these things are of interest to Crop Life, and Crop Life pursues them. Then why do they come in? In all of this also, Crop Life has a responsibility, okay, for stewardship The responsibility for stewardship, because all of these things we have said have to be done according to laid down, approved or allowed legal framework for them. And so they have responsibility for stewardship to make sure that people do things according to what the manufacturers have specified. So it needs a lot of sensitization, needs a lot of education, needs a lot of training people to know when to use what. Because it's just like in human medicine, for example. Everything that is chemical can be used to the advantage of man. But when abused, can also be disadvantageous. Everything, not only chemicals. You have electricity here, for example. We're enjoying it, and here is cool, everything. But it's because everything is done according to how the manufacturer has asked us to use them. If, for example, you open the naked wire and you go to touch it, then you are finished. So this electricity you are enjoying can also kill life. So it's the same thing for all the things that have technology behind them. Okay? If you are taking Panadol, you are asked to take 2 tablets in the morning or whatever, and you go and swallow about 10 tablets, that's trouble, you know. So also in the agricultural field, a lot of the things that are used in production, used in storage, they have time, they have limits, they have dosage, they have when to do it and when not to do it. Okay? If you carry the one that is supposed to be used on the field where the sun is shining and everything, and so when you spray, it will take care of the crop, but the real thing after some time will be taken care of by the heat and all that outside. Then you bring it inside.
This is
so those are the things that in crop life we do all of this. Then more especially, you say crop life. Crop life is made up of members of the industry that are either into manufacturing, into production, into marketing of all of those inputs that are used on the farm.
Including exporting?
Including, yeah, you can export them. But exporting comes in it. When you are saying exporting what? Is it exporting the manufactured products in Nigeria or exporting the food that is produced on the farm?
The food that is produced on the farm, packaged.
Yeah.
If it is well packaged,
that's a different ball.
A different ball game.
You have left production now into that. Part of why we are doing all that we are doing is that to get the quality and the good products or agricultural products that you are going to export, it won't start just from the time you have the grains. It starts from the field where you are starting production.
Wow.
If in production you are not doing what is right, then the end product will not be right. And what you are going to export will not be right. What do I mean by that? In agricultural production, like I told you, you have the value chains. And you start to put, for example, you take a crop, you start to put in the right seed into the soil. Okay? Because it is that seed that is going to give you the right harvest.
All right, our time is fast spent. I wish we could continue because this is a whole lot of education for Nigerians and making Nigerians believe that even in the midst of quantity, you can also have quality, and it's a matter of choice. And of course, these products, if you're...
Sorry, before you go ahead, I'd like to end up something very...
okay.
You talked about export of agricultural products. That's where I was really going now. But let me say something about that. The purpose of the workshop we are holding in Abuja now, okay, is to be able to set standards, to be able to discuss on setting standards, national standards for food and feeds, not only for local consumption, but also for export.
All right, that's
okay?
great.
And we are also talking about counterfeit, anti-counterfeit measures, which is what we are discussing today. Because contamination of those exports comes from abuse and misuse of what is supposed to be used rightly to get you good quality and quantity. But if it's abused, then you have contamination.
All right, thank you very much. We don't have enough time. Our time is up. Well, thank you very much for coming on the program today, Mr. David Achimogu. Thank you very much.
My name is David Achimogu.
Achimogu, yes.
President CropLife
Life Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right, this is going to be the size of the conversation. I think all eyes and attention should be more on agriculture because it's going to do us well as a nation. Well, coming up next is the second conversation on global modeling.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Now time to turn to sub-national leadership. What exactly it is that is happening across states beyond the fact that there's so much of noise regarding what the federal government is doing, especially given the magnitude of insecurity we're dealing with as a country. But then, what are the sub-nationals doing? What are the states also bringing to the table in terms of not just only making the difference in the lives of their people, but ensuring that the institutions or even the very idea of democracy itself is continually preserved, especially in light of those electionary campaign promises that were made, and now today we have governors across all the 36 states. So how do we measure progress? We'll begin from Edo State, which is very peculiar on several levels. First off, that's one of the few states where you have off-cycle election, and then it's also a state that is right in the very heart of the south-south part of the country, and then it's a gateway state of some kind because of the pivotal role it plays in ensuring that there's a link, or if you like, a bridge between the two ends of our nation, south and of course the north. But then again, it's been 1 year since the Senator Monday Okpebholo government came on stream, and then there have been concerns about what has he done differently, especially for those who want to go political, trying to place his leadership of 1 year side by side the 8 years of his immediate predecessor, Godwin Obaseki. What did Okpebholo tell Edo people that he was going to do for them? What has he done in that regard in the last 1 year? And in what ways does his achievement show or indicate what he will likely do in the next 3 years in the life of this administration? I'm joined by one of his very staunchest supporters, one who has, thrown his weight behind him right from the campaign days, Haruna Brimo. Well, he's the high chief and a comrade at the same time. Brimo, thank you for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Let's talk about electionary campaign. You know, during elections, politicians talk a lot. Somebody even jokingly said politicians would promise that they will install air conditioning on the streets just so they can win votes.
Yeah.
This is no longer politicking. This is not electionary period. The governor is already in the saddle. He's been there for 1 year. He has, give or take, about 3 more years to go, at least in the life of this administration. What can Edo people look at and say, beyond what we see, we cannot have some hope that governance is improving in the real sense of the word?
Yeah, thank you again, and good morning. The last 1 year has actually redefined governance in Edo State in all areas and stratas of government. It has been a 1 year of recovery, Edo for Edo, you know. It has been a 1 year of setting new governance parameters across infrastructure, setting new standards. It's been a 1 year of breaking new grounds. It's been a 1 year of creating new boundaries. And we have a political leadership in Edo State today that is actually making the people realize that democracy as defined is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Because we have a people's governor whose agenda, the Shine agenda, every aspect of the Shine agenda is channeled towards delivering good governance across the strata, from education to health to agriculture to infrastructure to economy to fiscal prudence, budget implementation. It's not surprising to some of us in Edo to see that some very critical institutions who have over the years scrutinized governance and how governance implement policies and how they utilize government money for people. The institution like budgeting.com could rate Edo today as the 5th state in Nigeria on fiscal prudence when it comes to budget implementation. It did not just mark or allocated funds with mouth and could not implement it. For the first time, we have a government in Edo State. In the history of Edo, I stand to be corrected, from 1991 to date, we have a government that is allocating more than 70% or around 70% of budgetary allocation to capital expenditure. CapEx is 70% and 30% is just for recurrent expenditure. And it's pushing it. It's not just by providing for it in the budget, and it's using the capital budget to deliver capital activities, capital infrastructures. We have two of the biggest massive projects in the lifetime of this government as at now, which is the two major flyover. And the flyover in Mumbai is going to be the longest, apart from a 10 Million Bridge. It's the longest flyover ever envisaged, constructed, and built by any government in Nigeria. I mean, across the 36 states in Nigeria. It's happening in Edo State. And it's going to be delivered in the next 3-4 months, first quarter of next year. We're already in December. You know, you talk of a government that is within 1 year is building 250-something kilometers of roads across the 3 senatorial districts.
Simultaneously?
Of course, roads projects that are ongoing. Cumulatively, there are 250-something kilometers. That is unprecedented within 1 year. And some of these roads are being commissioned already. A government that's re-engineered education made us to realize that it's not by pronouncing education policy of where you want to be. A vision without a mission is a totalizing mirage. For the first time, we're having a government that is building a vision on a mission. We had a vision of where they wanted to take those states' education sector to. Everybody was clapping for the vision, to the extent that some states were coming to Edo State to learn about the vision. But when there is lack of sincerity of purpose in leadership and no mission statement to drive, to deliver, you cannot deliver any education policy without education infrastructure. Today we have a government that has delivered 68 reconstructed, rehabilitated, rebranded, and rebuilt schools across the 3 senatorial districts. You talk about the health sector. Primary health care is pivotal to the general well-being of people in the rural areas. Today, more than 70 primary health cares are being reconstructed. Not just reconstruction. You know, the government administration is so amazing to behold when you get into its activities. Before, we used to talk of building a primary health center, and they would just build it without equipping it. You saw the deputy governor and the visiting, some of the visiting House Committee, Federal House Committee on Health that came to Edo State, when they were visiting some primary health center in Ofia. You saw how health center is being equipped. In the government administration, you built health center and you equipped it with necessary health infrastructure. It's not to build and abandon. You just commission it that you have built a health center. In the next few years, it gets dilapidated because there are no infrastructure. It did not stop there. Inside the health sector, as he's building the infrastructure, he's building the capital, the human capital need to man this, and then he embarked on 2,000 workers recruitment, which has never happened. That's why I said he's breaking ground and setting boundaries, breaking new grounds, which has never happened. Graduates are now going to be manning institutions of government, health institutions of government in rural areas. They are being paid well on minimum wage. Do you know what that will make them? It will stop
It will reduce the problem of urbanization. It will stop rural-urban drift. You understand? In a rural area where you have access to basic amenities like health, education, pipe-borne water, good roads, in the rural area, what is going to be taking you to the city? It will now improve the microeconomy of the rural area. That's the rural economy we're talking about, which on the long run contribute to the macro, which is being galvanized at the federal level. That is how states should work. It did not stop there. You take it to agriculture. He became, in agriculture, he set a revolutionary standard. For 4 billion provision in the budget in 2000 by his predecessor, he took the budgetary for allocation for agriculture to 70 billion. Vision. But what is the mission? We are seeing the mission today. Implementing the budget, putting his money where his mouth is. You can no longer say, oh, he budgeted 70 billion, but we don't have tractors, we don't have implements, we don't have farming tools. You saw him. More than 50 tractors were launched. Bulldozers, payloaders, to be carrying those things across. And the good thing is, before now, the 8 years of the former administration, they could not deliver one tractor as far as agriculture is concerned.
But they say every government has its focus, so maybe they had other focal areas.
No, where are the other focus? I'm talking of what drives economy is the general focus of any government.
Totally agreed.
You understand? And what drives this economy? Food production and sustainability. Is it not part of agriculture? Food sufficiency. Is it not part of agriculture? How do you drive a beautiful government that cannot be able to create a pathway for the people to feed themselves? Or you cannot create a policy that will make farmers. So in Edo State today, the government did not stop and say, I'm providing this and providing that for the agriculture alone. He got himself involved by partnering with cooperatives and say, let's open 3 mega farms. From 2016 to 2023, that is 8 years. We only heard of a mega farm that consumed 23 billion but could not sorbet farm. But they could not harvest a maize from it. But you saw what is going on. 9,000 hectares of land across, 3,000 across the 3 senatorial districts. You saw the one in Uwesa. Harvest is already going on. And do you know the agricultural value chain that is going to create?
But let's talk about, there are several things you've talked about in one, and these are all very sterling achievements, at least giving your own narrative. But let's talk
about... It's not my narrative. I'm not going to talk of, talking about the balance sheet of the states.
How good is that looking?
Of course, inherited a total debt of more than 700 billion.
And we blame that on the past government.
I'm not blaming. How he's be able to manage it is why we should praise him now. He did not say you are the one that caused it. Out of that money, about 230 billion was owed to contractors. He did not drive any contractor away.
Were those projects delivered?
Never. They were all ongoing. Even with questionable ongoing. Because you will release, you will make a project 60%. But in reality, the project is 30% completion. And you don't pay them. So he inherited all those. He's not complaining. Yet he's be able to manage that debt. How many states in Nigeria today can boast of reducing their foreign debt? Governor Mondo administration is the only administration in Nigeria to across any state. Quote me, I start to be corrected. Maybe Lagos that will say that they reduced 44.7 about $40 million has been reduced from our foreign debt. More than 30 billion naira has been reduced from domestic debt. Domestic debt, which include the bonds. That he inherited.
But there's another area I want to talk to you about, which is very, very key in leadership. Of course, is the role of government to do this. Security. From the news we're hearing almost every other week, insecurity in those states appears to have spiked, for example, and we see people calling on the governor to say, do more. This is not just the opposition front now. Isn't that a minus for the government of Senator Modupebu?
Depends on the prison you are looking at it from.
Kidnapping, for example.
I said depending on the prison. When you say, isn't that a minus? You know, when you weigh what is the role of governments, is to provide security
for lives and property.
Property.
Right.
what level of insecurity do you have in Edo State? The level of insecurity in Edo State is stratified from kidnapping to regular criminalities, robbery. You talk about courtesan and ritual killings. These were all what he inherited at one of the highest level. But so far, across this 4 levels of insecurity, what has the government been able to do? These are the questions. Totally in Edo State today, you know the issue of courtesy has reduced drastically. You first of all fought it institutionally. Edo State is the only state in Nigeria today that have created a law that makes it 21 years or life imprisonment for you to be caught involving in courteous killing or courteous activities. And where even those who directly or indirectly harbor such people, which has put the responsibility on house owners
to report
not just report, to do due diligence before you give your house to people. Because you stand the chance of losing the properties of this kidnap, wherever they are holding meeting or whatever, which also involved kidnapping, and it was not limited to courtesy.
But there's the allegation that the governor also politicized that.
Excuse me, that is not. I just talk about a legal framework, a law. You don't politicize the law. The law is implemented by another. The state legislators is to make the law. The executive is to activate it and implement the law. The judiciary is to interpret it. The law is there. It's not a policy pronouncement. That is for that phase. And we have seen drastic reduction in that area. Then you come to the general issue of herdsmen and farmers because crisis. Edo State is not exempted from any other state that has been facing that over the years. It's on record that the former administration passed a law against open grazing, even before Tinubu just talked about banning of open grazing. Do you know that it's already illegal in Edo State? But did they have the ball to implement it?
What does it take to implement it?
Exactly. Which is what people will do. First of all, you have to equip the security outfit. He has realized that, okay, the conventional security outfit in Edo State, which is the police, the soldier, every security base in Edo State, do they have the necessary manpower and equipment? First of all, the manpower is needed. We create the Edo Security Corps. Where at least more than 1,000 or 2,000 have been recruited. First approach. Across communities. Partner with traditional rulers. He has had different security summits where they are partnered with traditional rulers also. Then started giving them the necessary vehicular equipment and other security support. It's on record. You saw how many bikes he has released on 2 or 3 tranches, 300, 100 bikes, because these are the special bikes you need to penetrate the forest where these criminals are hiding. And a lot of results. You watch, the only challenge with Nigeria is we are good at showcasing the negative. When it results, because every time I go on EBS platform, ITV platform, you see different criminals, different kidnapping syndicate being busted.
Courtesy of efforts by the state government.
By the state government. But when a particular one, a kidnap activity happened, it goes viral. But when the government made progress in 3 aspects, it does not go viral on the media.
So who do you blame that on?
It is the psyche of us. It's Nigeria for you. You understand?
Are the handlers of the governor doing their
bit? It's beyond. Yeah, that is another question for another day. But generally in Nigeria, we like promoting the negative aspect. I know how many people in abroad in diaspora have been sharing the good work, the results. From my villages, people have lost their houses who have been involved in kidnapping and court killings. All the way. Do you know how many kilometers? It takes 2 hours from Benin to my village. Yet the governor will lead squads. Do you know how many in Uromi? Today we are having some big activities. Hotels are springing up in Uromi. Companies are springing up. If there was no security, would all this one be happening? Yes, we are not there yet. But yes, we are not where we used to be when it came to power.
Good. Well, when you talk about where we should be...
you remember there was a comb operation between Ososo and Okpela.
Right.
Where 72, I repeat, 72 Fulani kidnappers and herdsmen were arrested and so were eliminated. How did it go viral?
What was their crime?
Kidnappers in the bush. The bush was combed by joint security after the killing of the 8 civil defense.
Right.
The governor have to come in, empower them, support them. Both the joint security operation is both the kinetic and the non-kinetic approach is using it.
Now let's talk about something else that's a bit more political. It will appear there's hardly a 24-hour cycle without the governor or those within the government talking about Obaseki, and some people say is a political ploy to distract Edo people from the real issues. Why do we still have to talk about a man who left office a little bit?
No, it's not any, there's no ploy in any way. Nobody is distracting you because Edo is on the trajectory of progress.
So can we not have closure to the Obaseki
factor? There's no closure
factor?
to a reoccurring decimal negatively. Listen to my, let me rephrase, reoccurring decimal.
So every time there's an issue about the former governor that pops up.
Excuse me. It's like you now taking over from me in the office. And any attempt for you to move forward on a particular file, there is need to look at where was the position of the file before you came in, isn't it?
Right.
And if you change that position before you take decision, and you see questions arises. For example, the issues of the press, the press code, the Okomo, and all those people. If we just agree here that the responsibility of government is to protect life and properties.
Right.
If the people whose land were collected and were never compensated cries to you, will you tell them you were not the governor when the thing happened? No, isn't it? So in an attempt to find solution to then you have to revisit the issue. And as you are revisiting it, the proverbial tortoise will rear its head, which is Obaseki. Because no story complete without a tortoise. So that is just what is happening. Nobody is after him. The government is focused than any other. You see a lot of projects going on. Federal roads be taken over in February this year. Governor Mondo Bello went to the presidency to take over, to apply to take over Benin Sapele Road. You see the massive progress that is on that road. Are we talking about the Ekpoma, the Benin Auchi Road? Why palliative measures are being taken place? The major spot, the Ekpoma township part that was so dilapidated. Today is wearing a new look. I was there, during the first year anniversary with Segun Sobumi, the PDP, the former spokesperson of Atiku.
Right.
He has to commend you. These are the oppositions, big wigs, commending the effort of Governor Monday Okpebolo.
But we have heard the governor call for unequivocally call for the repatriation or extradition of former governor Godwin Obaseki. What necessitated such a call?
A lot. I just told you one now, for example. From the asset verification report, it is seen and written that every land collected from the communities, and hitherto, because you told the community that you were collecting these lands for investors, and the community are happy that investors are coming to Edo State to invest. 17 palm oil investors. You drafted a beautiful proposal and went to the federal government of late President Muhammadu Buhari, may so rest in peace. And he gave approval for CBN to create an investment window of 69 billion. Who is 69 billion? And a part of this, your proposal has a platform for palm oil, smallholder palm oil farmers to stratify the palm oil industry. But what did you do? You started from the hybrid. In your proposal, you said you were going to leverage on the existing big players. Leverage on their strategy. How did they get to that level? People like Presco Oye, Okomo Oye. Leverage is to understudy them. It's not to go there and be invested there. You are giving more land to existing multinationals.
So priorities were misplaced.
Of course. And you neglected the real people. And even those you brought, nobody is telling you that the idea is bad. But the process of implementing the ideas, after 8 years, no result across every MOUs. And there are problems that the governor now need to attend to. Will you not say they should not mention your name? It's not possible. 111 million naira, 111. I'm on air, was paid for each acres of land by these investors.
How many
109,000 hectares. And yet some of these communities are crying that they were never compensated. Which account did you lose the money? And under the exclusive zone or contiguous zone in the analysis of oil discovery, the law in Nigeria, it was discovered that some parts, about 20 hectares, contain natural resources.
So who is exploiting those natural resources?
No, it's just that exploitation has not started.
But it's been established that they are there. So the
government need to recover those lands. This is no longer about giving land to somebody to expand on palm oil.
It's beyond that.
Of course, it's not obvious to not discover that about 20 hectares of the land you allocated to somebody had natural mineral resources like crude oil and coal. And you know what that means? So the governor is very, very intelligent and administratively taxed. They need to implement the law.
Okay, let's begin to wrap up.
So this is not about him at all. What of the Okoroma people? That their land, you collected their land, even ongoing buildings, you claim them, you demolish them, and that you were given to a private, you wanted to build a Kora city. Nobody's against your Kora city idea. These people have paid for land. They have, some of them had CFOs.
Issued by the government.
Issued by this government, either your government or previous government. So when you want to take somebody's land, you compensate under the Land Use Act of 1978 decree and 1999 Act. Compensation is part of it. Land is a critical factor of production that nobody joke with.
All right, I think there's so much to unbundle within this conversation, but I want us to wrap up now by looking at perception of the governor and the government, and I'll create a context real quick. We're seeing issues that have popped up recently that don't tell well of the government, and by extension, of course, the governor himself, the principal, right? The most recent being a certain Kelly Okubo, popularly called Abel Stone, who is reported to have beaten or assaulted a female journalist attached to the First Lady of Edo State, the wife of the governor of Edo State. And that issue has created a lot of controversy.
The wife of the governor,
office of
the First Lady.
The First Lady, I should say.
Office of the First Lady.
Right. That the issue was so nasty and it has rubbed off on the government. Some persons have even, erroneously I must say, because I know he's not an aide of the governor, referred to him as Governor Pevolo's aide and things like that. Does that not show that the governor needs to do a lot of work in how his image is perceived out there?
Yeah, you know, in a political situation or in a situation where we play politics with everything, you know, a lot of things will definitely be read out of context. It's on record. I want to make it clear that Governor Monday Okpebholo is not, is a very disciplined man who is very gender sensitive. Even the government is gender sensitive.
Right.
Even to the plight of the disabled. Even a few days ago, he had he was present having a dialogue with International Disability Day.
Right.
He made provision for them. He's driving an inclusive government. So, and coincidentally, the International Women's Day. So, it's not in any way connected with this. Whatever happened is being investigated.
Right.
You know, because nobody has provided a video to show what actually happened. But nobody has also said the government is not fully in hand to downplay it. You know, even the EBS MD have come on air to say
to intervene as well.
Even the NUJ in Edo State have also intervened.
By the way, I saw a picture of the chairman of the NUJ, Dr. Festus Aleke.
Festus Aleke. Everybody is trying to. So let's look at how so that the truth will come out. You know, even the Kelly himself.
Whom we understand has apologized to.
You know, I understand, though I have not read a formal
apology from him
to that effect. You understand? So, but it's not related with what Edo State stands for. Thank God it's clear that it's not an aide of Edo State. Maybe a zealous APC member. You understand?
All right.
That is where it ends.
I think that's the much we can talk about now, because the governor still has there are about 3 years to go, and it means you and I, God willing, will have a lot of time to talk about this.
Yeah, a lot. After 3 years, we'll be talking of... talk back.
Okay, well, let's get to that point. I'd like to say a big thank you to you for taking our time to join us this morning. We appreciate it. All right, let's take a quick break now, everyone. Shortly, we'll wrap up the show for you. Do stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program.
As always, it's a pleasure to have you join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Teacher Post Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course...
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as...
Numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Face to Face is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to...
Rule is united. Welcome
Nigeria.
to entertainment circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Talk Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
And this is where we leave it today on the program, everyone. Thank you for watching. As always, remember that the views of our guests are their opinions. I am Uyi Agumofwegwe.
I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo.
We'll see you again.